Hey everybody, welcome to the YouTube channel. Happy that you're here. We haven't done Get Creative in almost a month. I've been traveling all over the country. I think I've been to 30 plus cities in the last 45 days. It's been chaos. And so I actually told my team that we will not be doing Get Creative until November 1st. However, one of my very, very best friends and collaborators and somebody I do deals with decided to fly in from Atlanta today. So we're going to do Get Creative, a special episode of Get Creative. And then Abraham Gray, who is here. Show my friend Abraham. There we go. Abraham Gray. Guys, give Abraham Gray a little love. We got a live studio audience. Will you guys count up and let me know how many people we actually have here for the live studio audience? So we have a live studio audience. Angie Milanazzo is running the deck today. So if you guys have comments, you guys have some stupid shit to say in the comments, please say it. Because what we're going to do is we'll put up on the screen. Angie, let's highlight some people. Who do we got? We got Heather Irving. Good to see Heather Irving. Amber Smith. I love me some. Oh, Landon Moore. Hung out with him this morning. We went on a nice big hike up. I actually did not do a big hike. Turned out didn't work out that way. But anyway, today on Get Creative, we're going to be talking about creative deal structures. We're going to be talking about maybe some recent acquisitions that Chris Moore and Carl Allen have purchased. Also, the feeling I have about buying businesses versus building a business. I've got some little tidbits and stories to tell. And then also we have a really cool special event coming up, right, Abraham?
Yeah, in 5 weeks.
5 weeks.
5 weeks back in Scottsdale.
That's when the weather's really nice.
Nice. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So let's bring Chris Moore and Carl Allen on the screen. Angie, if you don't mind. There we go. Love it. Guys. Good to see you. Carl, where are you, my brother?
Vieira, Florida.
Is that where you now live in your very own SubTo house?
Yeah, well, I'm half my time in the UK, half my time in the US. I've just dropped my wife off at the airport. She's flying home, and I'm here for another week.
Amazing. So, guys, just to give you some context, we've got Chris Moore and Carl Allen on the screen. Amazing business buyers, business operators. These guys buy businesses with cash. They buy businesses with creative finance. They buy businesses with no money down. These guys have done more deals than I could count. And then we've got one of my very best friends, Abraham Gray, hanging out with me in my studio today. And we're going to hang out and have a good conversation. Carl, Chris, yes, Abraham, sir. Tell me about the event that's coming up in 5 weeks. What's that called? When's that going to be? Where can people find out more about that?
Yeah, Chris would probably, let's have Chris start with that.
He's absolutely. Yeah. So coming up in just about 5 weeks, we have Creative Con, which is going to be a creative financing and deal making conference right there in Scottsdale. So we're really excited about it.
And how can I get there? Is there a website?
Yeah, it's dealmaker.live. That's simple.
Dealmaker.live.
Backyard pace.
I love it. Can you please put the link in the side chat, Angie? Let's see how good Angie is, guys. We're making her basically be an octopus tonight. Okay, she's switching our cameras up here. She's running
Dealmaker.live, right?
Dealmaker.live. She's also running the chat in the side. She's also throwing Carl on and Chris on. So she's doing a lot. Give her some love in the side comments. Dealmaker.live. Who's going to be there?
Man, this is actually going to be the biggest. This is going to be the biggest event ever. Obviously, Carl and Chris and I'll be there. Of course, you'll be there. We have Jamil, Cody Martin.
Damn.
We have your boy Maloof, Eddie.
Eddie Maloof is coming out. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Eddie. You have a few other special guests. It's going to be crazy. So, obviously we've done this event a bunch of times together, but it
is one of my favorite events to go to. I end up speaking usually just one of those days.
You spoke almost every day last time.
Well, last time I did, but it was by default that I was just there and you're like, hey, do you want to tell another story? I'm
you were on the schedule.
Oh, okay, great. I didn't. I stuck around. I love hanging out at this event and hanging out with people in the hallways because deals are getting done in the hallway, and it's one of those very few events that I go to that I watch people actually doing deals live.
It's a lot of deals.
Is that why you call it Dealmaker.live?
Yep, because deals get done live.
Hell
deals get done live. Absolutely.
Now, the last event we went to, Carl, didn't you sign a crazy big you got a loan for, I don't know, I got
$125 million line of credit to go and buy businesses with. So we signed it on the stage.
And then you used all $125 million to buy the Curry and Bryant jerseys that are signed.
There you go.
125. Bro, that's how much you paid for those things?
Yeah, I've got $60 left from that money.
Oh, I love it. Okay, cool. So this event's coming up. Super exciting. What are they going to learn? What's something actually, somebody that doesn't know anything about buying businesses, why the hell, Carl, should I buy a business instead of build a business from scratch?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's like everybody watching this probably owns a car, right? So you own a car. So if you want to own a car, you can build one. You can go on eBay and buy all the components, and then you can go on YouTube and figure out how do I connect the battery and the steering wheel and how do I plug it all together? Or you can rock up to a dealership and buy a car that they've built for you, and you can finance it, typically no money down. So what
a good analogy, bro.
Yeah, we're doing exactly the same thing.
It is so that that's such a good analogy, because now I'm thinking, well, it's like, well, yeah, a car breaks down though, Carl. It's like, yeah, just switch out the part. Like, let's say an employee, like you have a bad employee, switch out the employee. It's not that big of a deal. But having to go and find all the employees and make sure that they're the right fit for the right thing and the right whatever takes years and years and years.
And the customers and the inventory and the right people to buy. I mean, just everything.
Oh my gosh, that's a great analogy. Instead of building a car like an idiot, go buy one that was built and engineered and
has a warranty. Businesses have warranties.
Oh. Businesses have warranties?
Yeah. Businesses have warranties. They do.
Teach me about that.
Yeah. So when you're buying a company, the legal document that you sign, the sale and purchase agreement, comes with warranties. So if the business isn't what you think you're buying, then if you're doing a creative deal where you're paying for the business over time, you can just stop making the payments. So warranties come with businesses. The legal term is reps and warranties. So a seller has to tell you in due diligence absolutely everything about the business. So like you get a warranty with a car, you get a warranty with a business.
I love it. So let me give you some context, maybe a real life scenario here. So I've got a business that we started about a year ago. It's still not profitable. It's like breaks even. It'll make $5,000, then it'll lose money. We're building it, right? We're engineering things. We're figuring something out. And in my world, building business sometimes benefits maybe another business I already have. Mm-hmm. So that's why I choose to build businesses. So I'm a year in, still not profitable, right? Doing all this work, time, energy, effort. However, I go buy a business 3 months ago, the plant guy, and immediately it goes from owning it to making $75,000 the very next month.
Yep.
And I'm like, wait, hold on. I didn't have to do anything. I don't have to know all the employees. I don't have to run everything. There's already existing brand, clientele. There's all this stuff. I'm like, wait, hold on. Why am I not doing this more?
Yeah. I mean, it's awesome. You get to see all the financials and everything. So you know exactly when you take it over, exactly how much you're going to make. You don't have to worry about, am I going to break even? Am I going to lose 5,000? Am I going to make 3,000? You don't have to worry about that.
Okay, Chris, so Abraham just brought up financials, which I think he screwed up on this, because now I got a really tough question. Are all of these businesses that we're out there looking at and buying and acquiring, negotiating, do they all have clean financials?
No, not at all.
Okay, so how do I verify? Let's say I'm brand new. I come to Dealmaker.live, right? I come to the event. How do I know that I'm looking at good financials? Is there somebody that can help me? Is there somebody I can offload that task to? Because I don't know how to know whether the financials are good or bad. And by the way, so that's question number one. Question number two, is them having bad financials a bad thing for me or a good thing for me? Is it a good sign or a bad sign? Could you answer both those questions for me, please?
Yeah. So the first one is, it's a great sign sometimes if they're bad financials, because it allows us to really start discounting the business quickly and allow us to get profitable businesses at a discount. The other thing is you notice
that there's a major piece of pain there, right?
Yeah, it usually shows that not only is there motivation and pain, but they also have an understanding that their business isn't perfect, and it helps us lower the valuation. But really, I mean, you should be hiring a CPA to do this type of due diligence and financial analysis anyway. You know, I'm not a CPA. Carl happens to have an accounting background, but in general, a lot of our deal makers, we just hire it out. We don't have to be an expert in that.
Okay, great. So
and you know what's really cool, Pace, about hiring a CPA? Most of the time, you don't have to pay them until the deal closes, right?
Oh.
So there's no upfront money out of pocket. You only pay them when the deal actually closes.
It's
like
kind of like the
fee.
financing for getting a car. The finance guy doesn't make any money until the deal gets done.
Exactly.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. It has, Chris, can you think of a time, a specific story where bad finance, actually goes to everybody, Abraham, Chris, and Carl. Can you think of a time where you saw bad financials and you saw that as actually a good sign because it either indicated pain or maybe your ability to discount the purchase of the business?
I've got a great.
I want to ask a question though, just to clarify what you're
I got
asking.
a great story.
So when you say bad financials,
I don't mean they're losing money.
Okay.
I mean that it's disorganized.
Disorganized financials.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for
That's
clarifying.
different. That's
Yeah.
different. Bad financials.
Because we're not buying non-profitable businesses.
Very rarely.
No.
There's only very few exceptions that we could get into why. But Carl has an awesome story.
So I bought a construction company once, right? This is about 7 years ago. And I went to meet the seller, built really good rapport and relationship. It's a big kind of key to doing great deals. And we had this great relationship, and I said to the guy, okay, I need to look at your numbers now, or I need to get access to your numbers, give them to my CPA, and then I can come up with a creative offer to buy the business. And he opened the door into like the back room of this porta cabinet. It's on a construction site. And I went in, and there's all these like huge boxes just filled with like all this dirty, horrible like paper. And he said, that's my accounting system. Now, 99% of all the businesses you're going to look at, they're going to have QuickBooks, they're going to have Xero, they're going to have an accounting software platform, even if it's just Excel. So this guy only did his books once a year, and throughout the year, he'd throw all these pieces of paper in. So no joke, I'm rummaging through these boxes of paper, and I found a dead finger inside the box because one of his operators... One of his operators.
What? I literally, it was like, I was like, oh, this is great. I love this. This is really good. And then homeboy throws out dead finger. What?
Stinky, horrible.
First off, has anybody ever ran into a live finger? You know what I'm saying? Like,
it wasn't
wow,
moving.
Dude.
It wasn't moving. So what the moral of the story was, I said to the guy,
like it was cut. What's that? What's the hand in Wednesday Addams
Thing.
Thing.
Yeah, thing.
So you had this finger in homeboy's paperwork. Did they get like a really severe paper cut and the finger just fell off in the bin?
I don't know, but there's this shriveled up finger inside. Oh my God! But I turned around to the guy and I said, "Look, I can't value your business or make you any sort of offer because you've got to go. You've got to get your CPA and you've got to do all these books." He said, "Well, it's going to cost me like $25K to get him in now to do it." So I just said, look, I could buy the business today, but I'm not going to pay you any money until these books have been
until I know who you killed.
Yeah. So I did the deal. This was like $1 down. And then we had a 60-day true-up period where I could get my team to go in and figure out what was going on financially with the business. And then after 60 days, I could value the company. And then we agreed a deal for me to pay him. It was over about 7.5 years. So I didn't have to go. I didn't have to go and put any money down on that deal because, like, oftentimes, like, you can buy a business creatively, so you can just pay for the business like you would lease a car. Or in some cases, the seller, if they're not hugely motivated, they want a closing payment. So you've got to go to the bank to borrow that money. The bank's not going to look at the deal without a fully detailed set of accounts that make sense. And a lot of these retiring baby boomers, they're conditioned to do their bookkeeping once a year. They don't have their books in order. So you can get really creative in structuring deals because they don't want to have to go through the pain of hiring a CPA to get the books done early. It's a really cool ninja move that we use a lot on deals because we're still solving their problem. They want to retire. They want to move on to the next season in their life. Our goals to get them
Carl,
out.
I can't stop thinking about this finger, dude. Like, here's what I'm thinking. Okay, I'm thinking about all the jokes that could come up with like pointing the finger. Like, did you come into the office and like start waving the finger at him? Like, I got to tell you something. Or did you like go over your purchase contract with the finger and you're like, all right, so right here on line number 3, and you're like using the dead finger? Or did you maybe like turn the dead finger into like a lucky rabbit's foot and it like hangs from your
Be a great keychain, yeah.
Or did you change the LLC you bought the business in was called like Stinky Finger or something like that? I don't know. Okay, so there are a couple of really good questions in here, but I don't want to cut you off because you're making such great points and you're telling an amazing story. This guy, you said you couldn't value the business until when?
Yes.
Until he had his books fixed.
So typically, because I have literally no current financials, normally you'd want to allow about 60 days to get somebody in to kind of just bash all of those papers into either a spreadsheet or an accounting platform, so I could really make sense of what was happening financially with the business. But he didn't want to wait. He didn't want to wait for that to happen. So I said, look, I'll take the business over today. I'll take full control of it. I'll run it for 60 days. I'll figure out what's going on with the numbers, and then we'll renegotiate the deal after 60 days. By that time, he was retired, and he let me pay him over 7.5 years. So it was a great deal for me and a great deal for him, because his outcome was he wanted to retire and move on. He'd made a lot of money through that business. There was a lot of cash going through that business as well. But it was just one of those opportune moments. But I'm seeing the messages on the screen. They're cracking me up. I'm trying to find.
You guys know what the 5-finger discount is?
Yeah.
5-finger discount. You could put a
the
finger on
5-finger discount is you steal the thing. This is the 1-finger discount. You bought it creatively over 7.5 years. The 1-finger discount.
Yep.
So I have got a story too.
Tell me you found something dead, please.
No, I wish it was that cool, but I'll tell you, some of the deals we bought creatively, mostly the off-market kind of retiring baby boomers. A lot of times we have that same conversation that Carl had. It's like, hey, well, let's look at the numbers and let's go from there. And what's interesting is a lot of times they don't actually give you numbers. And if you start to anticipate it, you'll actually figure out that a lot of times they don't know what that means. There's been several times, Carl can attest to this, where we've been waiting on it. We've had great conversations, and then it never happens to get us the numbers. So then I started asking different questions based. I said, so instead of saying, hey, like, let's look at the numbers, I say, hey, who does your accounting and bookkeeping? That's a better question. A lot of times like, well, it's Miss Flo. I said, great. Can you get me in touch with Miss Flo and give her authorization to let me see kind of your books and your P&Ls and things like that? And we found over time, oh, there's the finger.
Picture of the finger.
Oh my word.
I took a photograph of it. Seriously, it was gross.
Wow.
I don't know what to say.
So you're talking to Mrs. Flo. Hold on. Wait.
Yeah, back to the flow, right? So we started asking better questions, Pace, where we find that so many of these people, especially the off-market kind of mom and pop shops and some of even the bigger businesses, they don't have their numbers in order. They haven't really caught up on their P&Ls. They don't really know, besides the fact that they're taking more money home than they're spending. They don't even know they're profitable. And what we find is we allow the blame the bank strategy to really shine here, where we say, listen, kind of based off of everything we're seeing on your numbers, it's really hard to prove how much money you're taking home because, your books aren't in order and you're running a lot of these expenses for your personal life through your business. And it's just, the bank's not going to finance this at what you want. And a lot of times that's our open door to creative financing. And we use it again and again and again. And we're doing it in a way where we're really helping these business owners. So that's my story. No finger included.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that you can come in here, you can buy a business that's making 20, like the business I just bought, $75,000 a month is what it nets.
Because of you. It wasn't netting that right before you bought it.
It wasn't netting that, but here's the thing is that a lot of people look at this and they go, okay, I've got to do a ton of work to make a lot of money. It's like, no, we had to make some very simple adjustments. The adjustments we made were just making sure that somebody's handling the finances.
Correct.
The company was bringing in $500,000 a month, but losing $200,000 because the original founder was mismanaging money, had no idea what was going on. He was living out of the checking account, which I'm sure you guys all see all the time.
A lot.
And, when you read about this and you read the statistics, 92% of businesses will never hit $1 million a year in revenue. And the reason being is because they don't manage their books. It's not that they don't have a great product or a great service or even a great team. It's that they don't have the back end support. And so when you can come in and actually bring in a good team like a bookkeeper or a CPA, which is an outsourced thing, you don't even need to hire them on your team full time. You can come in and fix a lot of these businesses that, and somebody asked the question, Brandon asked the question, how does a business get a line of credit? Well, first and foremost, have clean finances. So a lot of times you'll go into a business. I'm sure Carl and Abraham and Chris, you guys have done this. You go into a business, you have a bookkeeper or a CPA come in and clean up their financials, get everything straight, fix everything. And then you can go down to a bank and go, look at my revenue. And a bank will give you a line of credit so you can go out and expand your business based on revenue that's already coming into this existing business.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah, because like a business is like a human. It's a separate legal entity. Like a human being with clean financials can go and get a FICO score, get credit to buy a car or a house or whatever. A business is exactly the same, right? So if you've got clean financials and you've got solid numbers, it's very, very easy to go and raise capital. So what we're doing as business buyers sometimes, where we're not doing a creative deal and we're having to put money down at the closing table, we're taking those company books to a bank, typically the existing bank that they bank with, and saying, hey, I want to buy this company. You've been banking with this business, for a long, long time. I need a loan to buy it. And if you don't give me one, I'm going to go to the bank down the street and I'm going to move my relationship. So they're very, very desperate to lend that money into the deal so that I can actually acquire it. But I would say 1 out of every 2 deals that I'm doing, I'm putting cash down at close. But 1 out of every 2 deals that we're doing, we're not. We're buying businesses like you would lease a car or lease a cell phone. It's
right.
And there are a lot of benefits to that pace. There are a lot of benefits to creative financing for the seller, right? So number one, if you're paying for a business over 7, 8, 10 years, we can offer a lot more money than what the business is actually worth because we're spreading it out over an extended period of time. So the seller gets more money. It's a lot more tax efficient for a seller to sell in installments. The IRS changed the tax code in 2022 to allow the seller only to pay tax when they physically receive the money. So they're getting more money, they're getting less tax. If we can do those deals in a day or a week or 2 weeks versus 4, 5, 6 months if you're going down the banking system and you've got to jump through all those different hoops. And then the other issue is there's no brain damage for the seller. Like if you're doing a deal and you're putting money down at closing and you're borrowing money, the bank will, they'll be all over them like a cheap suit. They want every piece of data. They want their blood samples. They want everything about that business. And a lot of these sellers, they just don't want to go through that trouble and strife. So they want to get out quickly. They want a really low stress deal. They want to get more money. They want to pay less tax. So the deals that we do, it's all in the positioning, right? It's like if you're marketing a product or a service, the buyer doesn't care about what he does. They care about the benefits that the product has for them. Like, how's it going to change their life or help them hit their goals or whatever? So we're just doing exactly the same thing when we're pitching these offers to business owners. We're focusing it all on them and making sure that the deal ticks all of the things that are really important to them.
I love it. Jeffrey Long has a great question here. Jeffrey Long says, all right, why would a lender give a line of credit for $125 million rather than JV, joint venture? A joint venture is a way higher return than no write-off lending cash. Well, Jeffrey, I'm going to tell you right now, lenders have the greatest job on the planet Earth, okay? They have the least amount of employees, least amount of work, least amount of everything, even risk involved, right? They're lending on a deal that they're insulated by risk. And they're the people who are just like, here's the money, and it gets sent back to them. And they get interest at high returns. It's a different business model. In fact, I'm going to tell you right now, if Carl, Chris, Abraham, and myself all had $1 billion, you know what we'd probably do? We'd probably close up shop on everything else and just be a lender. It is truly one of the easiest ways to make money. So, Jeffrey, their business model is the perfect business model. They don't want to get their hands dirty by running a business. It's a completely different business model. Different people are running it. Now, here's a question. All three of us, all three of you gentlemen. Okay. Well, two questions. Where can people go to get to the event in 5 weeks?
The event in 5 weeks, Scottsdale, Arizona. You go to dealmaker.live. It tells you everyone that's speaking and kind of the itinerary and everything about the event. And I mean, literally, you are going to learn everything there is about creative business buying, from why you should buy, what's the benefits of buying businesses, to how to find them on market, but mostly off market is what we target.
Okay.
How to get the financing, how to value them, and then once you buy them, how to grow them, how to sell them, everything. There's
okay.
nothing amiss.
All right. Here's a great question. If I go to dealmaker.live and I want to do deals with somebody live in the hallway, I'm working with people on deals in the hallway. How do I know what kind of business I should focus on? And this is where that's part of the question. But newer people, I feel like, really should kind of stick to one of maybe 200 easier businesses, less employees, less challenges, those types of things. Do you feel like there's like a list of 25 businesses that people should stick to on their first type of deal?
Maybe. But the best advice I could give to that is, if you want to buy a company in an area that you know and that you understand. Stay in your lane. So if you're a tech, let's say you work for IBM and you want to jump off the W2 merry-go-round and you want to buy a company, go buy a business in tech. Go buy a SaaS company or an IT services company. Don't buy a laundrette or a vineyard or a comic book store. So stay in your lane. And then if you find a deal that you really like, but you have no experience in that industry, then just go and partner with somebody. What's really interesting about, myself, Chris, and Abraham, we have a mastermind called Protege. And in that program, when we launched it 2 years ago, about 1 in 50 deals that were done were partner deals. Now it's like almost half. So everybody's partnering, because some people find deals. There's millions of businesses for sale, but if you're not in that zone, if you don't know that industry, it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's foolish, but I would recommend you going and buying a business that you don't know anything about. Just go and partner with somebody that knows that space. Like, even for young people, we have teenagers in our program doing deals. They're not trying to buy these businesses on their own. Like, if they want to buy an aeronautical engineering business and you've never worked in that space, you don't know how government tender contracts work, you don't know an aeroplane from a submarine, just go partner with somebody. So we've got older people that have had many more laps around the earth. They've got lots of gray hair like me. And they're partnering up with the younger deal makers who are doing a lot of the kind of detailed work, and they're buying these businesses together. It's absolutely amazing. Alexis Morgan is a great example of that. She's a big SubTo student. She straddles across both SubTo and Dealmaker. She came into our program, didn't really have any business experience, partnered with a bunch of the really cool people in the program, and now she's a partner in I think 3 different companies now, by following that advice. But I think, when you look at your background, especially, when you get into your 30s and beyond that, you've had experience in lots of different industries. It doesn't matter like what you've done. You will know some industries better than others. And then when you're sat down in a meeting with a seller and you can have a conversation about their business and their market and the trends in the market and all those different things, it makes the process just so much easier, right, to be able to kind of build that relationship. So just stay in your lane, or if it's not in your lane, just go and partner with somebody.
I love it. Okay. So, hey, live studio audience, by the way, if you guys have questions, I'm going to turn to Q&A here in a little bit for live studio audience. So if you guys have questions, I know Amit always has a question. He's always brewing 3 or 4 of them. They're always good ones. So we'll go to questions here in a minute. Here's what I find. Okay, this is where people kind of get suckered into this, Carl and Chris and Abraham, is that I find when you look at, I almost want to say their names, but I won't. People's YouTube channels that get a lot of views, right, that are talking about buying businesses. What are the types of businesses that get talked about the most on YouTube?
I mean, laundromats for sure. I have more people ask me about laundromats
and car wash
machines, car washes than anything.
And why? Let's talk about why.
Well, because
it's because they make so much money, right? Like you
No.
can make $100,000 a month on a freaking laundromat,
No.
right, Chris?
No, not at all.
Then why the hell would somebody want to talk about freaking laundromat all the time?
I would never buy one.
They got really sexy
Ugh.
stories, and they talk about how, I mean, all the ones that I've seen are mostly talking about how they're buying them with no money, which you can, but even the ones that I've seen, you know, they're making a lot less than the types of businesses that we go after. Like the businesses I go after are actually smaller than the ones Carl and Chris go after, but I go after businesses that are making at least $150,000 a year in profit. I think Carl and Chris are probably like 250 or higher. The laundromats that I've seen, the car washes that I've seen on YouTube that the videos blow up. Now they're great videos and the strategies are very good and they can work for bigger businesses. They just don't make that type of money. Like the last one I saw, I think was like they make $60,000 a year, which is like, you know, 40% of what I would even target. Now, if you could buy a whole bunch of laundromats, which there are a couple big YouTubers that now have a bunch of laundromats or a bunch of car washes, then it could make sense.
Okay, so I'm going to make my case for this. Okay, so my case for this is this: people are not Abraham, Chris, Pace, and Carl, right? Which is the current mindset that we have is like, yeah, let's go take over. I'm not at the tippy top. Like I'm talking to Brian Norton, which is Jerry Norton's brother, and I'm at his house in Montana a couple of months ago, and he's like, yeah, we're buying a business right now that does $600 million a year in revenue. I was like, hey, Brian, you screwed up. You meant to say $6 million a year in revenue. He's like, no. It does $600 million a year in revenue. And I'm like, and you're buying it? He's like, yeah, we're raising $150 million. We have like $127 million now. We've got a family office. It's going to give us the other $23 million. I'm like, all right, we are having different conversations at the dinner table and like to ourselves internally. I'm not in the same mindset as he's at right now. So there's phases to this, right? Mm-hmm. And I would say that most people in the beginning phase of this journey, they care about one thing more than anything else. And tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm not saying everybody. I'm just saying a big chunk of people. They care about quitting their effing job so badly that they will go buy a laundromat, a car wash, or something that doesn't really require any heavy lift. It's not even about the creative finance aspect. It's, I don't have to deal with employees and I could quit the job that I hate and fire the boss that I hate. So I could then start my journey from $60,000 a year. Do you guys see any like,
yeah. So
do you guys agree with this?
Yeah, I mean, the other big key thing about those three businesses is you don't have employees. I mean, they kind of run themselves for the most part. So that's another big key.
People are looking for like, how do I not buy a deal with money? How do I not have employees? How do I have low overhead and maybe low maintenance so I can at least quit my job? That like they're not even worried about how do I make $100 million. They're worried about how do I fire my boss.
And to buy something smaller, now they have a proof of concept. They feel good to buy bigger stuff. So that would be one reason. But the problem is when people buy some of these smaller businesses that aren't making as much money, when there's any type of problem, you're not making money anymore. Like if you're making, you know, 6 figures a year,
it's almost like Abraham knew where I was going.
Yeah.
You have one shutdown. Okay. So I go into a Omaha car wash the other day with a guy that's really, really well known.
Yeah.
You shut down one bay because it's broken. You now are breaking even.
Yeah.
Who quit their job to break even?
Exactly.
Right. You get a couple of a piece of equipment. You get a break in that month. You have one washer breakdown. You have one thing happen when you're only making $5,000 or $6,000 in a month. That's your entire profit for the freaking month is gone. Or worst case scenario, you actually hemorrhage money and have to come out of your savings to cover that cost.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people don't think about that, you know,
and the YouTubers don't talk about that.
No, there's a lot of things they don't talk about. There's a lot of those businesses, especially with laundromats, there's lots of repairs. You're buying stuff. If you don't know the business, you could be buying older machines that need, you know, to be replaced. How many that aren't working? There's a lot of, now, if you know the laundromat business, then you could be okay. But most people that are watching all these videos don't know much about it. And they're just, you know, super hyped and they go buy it. But there's a lot of things to know about that business.
I love it. That's a really good point. A business that's making $5,000 or $6,000 a month is one mistake, one fire, one issue away from breaking even.
Yeah.
Yeah. You shouldn't do that. You should stick to businesses between $1 and $10 million in revenues. Because if you buy a business below $1 million in revenues, you're really buying a job. It's got no middle management. It's got no systems and processes. And it's a bigger lift to go in and operate that company, right? Really small businesses, there isn't the cash flow after you pay yourself to hire a manager to kind of run the business for you, right? So stay above $1 million in revenues. And then when you go above 10 million, so going back to your story pace, above 10 million, that's where all the buyers are. So there's very few buyers in the 1 to 10 million range. All the private equity funds, the family offices, the big trade buyers, they're sniffing in the 10 to 100 plus $1 million range. So if you buy businesses in that 1 to 10 range, and you can buy several of them and you can combine them together, and then you go above that parapet, then there's a lot of buyers that can come in and pay you a really nice multiple to take that business out. So that's kind of what we do. So for us, it's a minimum of $1 million in revenues. I won't touch a business that's not doing at least $250,000 in cash flow. The last business Chris and I bought was doing $2 million a year of EBITDA. So that's quite a nice business, quite a big business. That's got management team, it's got KPIs, it's got systems, it's got 7,500 customers, it's got loads of different products. Like nothing's going to go wrong. Like we can own those businesses. We don't need to operate them. And that's the key. You can be an owner, investor of a company. You don't have to be the owner manager. Because what's interesting is, like, if you go buy a really small business, you're buying a job. You don't need to buy a job. People will give you a job and they'll pay you. You don't need to buy a job. But that's what a lot of people do. They buy these really small companies. Like they'll buy a 7-Eleven, or they'll buy a gas station, or they'll buy a laundromat, and you're buying a massive headache. Like stay away from those deals. And also, I don't like businesses that you just can't scale. Like you buy a laundromat, you're confined
to those 4 walls primarily.
Yeah, it's the people that live in the neighborhood, right? Like I want to buy a business that's got no limitations. Like you can scale it as much as you want internationally or whatever. So, but we've all got different buy boxes. You know, we've all got different things that we want to do. It's what do we know? What are we passionate about? And it's combining those two variables.
It is interesting how a lot of this comes down to mindset, right? People's immediate thought. It's the same thing when you get into real estate. The immediate thought is, I want to get started, but I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of taking action on this. These things scare me. Multifamily's daunting, all these things. And really, it's a practice of fixing your mindset as you get into stuff. Because when I hear, I'm brand new, and I hear Carl say, we start with businesses that are generating $1 million a year in revenue. When you're brand new, the word $1 million is the scariest thing in the world, right? There's some guys, if you're in the audience, we got 350 live viewers on an unannounced podcast. So thank you guys for showing up first and foremost. Angie, you are doing a great job tonight. We're going to have you move here to Arizona. I need you now a couple times a week. You're doing a great job. If you're the audience tonight, live audience, please tell us if you agree with me on this. I think that the beginning stages are primarily about mindset, is that this is actually relatively simple, but people will trick themselves into thinking it's impossible because they're just stuck in the beginner mindset, which is I can't do this because I've never done it before. So you stick to 1 million to 10 million. You want to go into industries that are relatively can grow, right? Like if I buy a plumbing company in Phoenix, I can service all of Phoenix. Whereas if I go to a laundromat, nobody's going to drive 45 minutes to go to a laundromat, right? But if I'm a plumber, I'll drive 45 minutes to a service call because I can charge for that. But a laundromat, it's limited to like maybe 2-mile radius. Yeah. So that's what you're talking about. It's not that like, it's not Carl is saying go out and do a digital, SaaS company. I would never do a SaaS company personally. That's just not my thing. It's not my lane. But a SaaS company has almost endless potential, whereas a plumbing company has capped potential. But I like it. I like a plumbing company because AI is not going to change, screw it up. Robots are not going to start figuring out how to solve leak problems underneath a concrete slab anytime soon, right? So you're going to need a plumber. And if you can be a plumber in a large enough metro, you almost have limitless amount of work.
Oh, yeah, unlimited.
Right? So if I'm brand new, Chris, let's go to Chris here. He's handsome son of a gun with them blue eyes. He looks like a White Walker with them blue eyes.
The other cool thing about a plumbing business, if you buy how many plumbing businesses are in your town? There's tons. You could buy other plumbing businesses,
which would be called a what?
It'd be called
a roll-up,
a bolt-on, or it could be a roll-up if you're buying a whole bunch at the same time. But a bolt-on, that's my favorite type of acquisition. We could get into bolt-ons later, but that's literally my favorite.
You know what's even cooler though, Abraham? If you buy a plumbing company Go and then buy an electrical company, because people that need plumbing also need electrical services, and you can cross-sell.
Yeah.
And then you have a zero cost of customer acquisition by cross-pollinating those services across those two very mutually exclusive customer bases. So that's what you can do in a roll-up, and you can do that pretty much in any industry. You buy a company, or you own a company, you just figure out, what else do my customers buy that I don't provide? Go and buy that company, and then cross-sell and cross-pollinate.
Yeah, I like that. Maybe like buy a plumbing company and then a weed delivery company. I like that.
Weed delivery and plumbing.
No, I don't know anything about weed. I just assume people that are having like munchies are also having plumbing problems. So I just assume
That makes sense.
No? Okay.
That makes sense.
It's a little stretch. It's a little bit of a stretch, but
okay. Yeah. I would also name my plumbing company We're the Shit.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'd get a lot of customers or pick up.
That's probably a good name.
Pick up the wrong customers, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. So Chris, we're gonna go to live. You guys got some live questions here? Okay. Lonzo, you have a question? Okay, Uncle Lonzo, what do you got for us?
So I know this broadcast is a lot of people that are in real estate already have viable businesses. My question is, like, I've got a viable real estate business, but I want to do this, like, without necessarily taking away too much from my real estate business. Like, where do I go?
Okay, so here's Uncle Lonzo's question. Uncle Lonzo's great leader in SubTo, unbelievable. He's got a great business, great real estate business. Homeboy just made $160,000 on one deal the other day. Gave me a fist bump over it. It was great. It was a good connection. I felt a bro moment there when you $160,000 fist bump. Boom. So his question is, well, what if I already have a viable business? Should I be doing this business thing? And if I should be, if that's the answer, which I think you know that the answer is yes, but what is the way you should be getting into this? Now, I'll tell you what I told Jerry Norton. Because Jerry Norton and I had a conversation about a year ago, and he's like, dude, you're buying businesses. How are you doing that with all the real estate you're buying? And I said, look, at the phase I'm in right now, I'm developing what I call a C-suite. Okay. So I go get a head of operations, I get a head of finance, and I get a head of whatever. And I already can afford these people because I have cash flowing business. I'm making $160,000 on a deal or whatever else. And what I do now is I go find a business and I pass it on to my team that's already maybe have experience in those things. So that's what I'm doing. Like the plant guy, the business we just bought, I could have, if I was newer in the business, I probably would have been a little bit more involved. But now that I'm scaled and I have a viable business and I have the ability to afford a team, I built out a team first and then started pushing businesses to that team so that from day one, I'm not involved. And my team, chief financial officer, chief operating officer, chief marketing officer, etc., that team, which is, I'm going to be really transparent and honest, that team that cost me $30,000 a month, which is scary for somebody who's starting out, I wouldn't take that path. But since I'm already a viable person, I already have a viable business, maybe start out with a head of operations at $7,000 a month, if you're okay with that. That head of operations can also help you in your real estate business, hold you accountable, get systems and processes, whatever. But then when you go buy a business, they can dedicate 20 hours of their time to whatever that business is. And then their job is to go find the next person to help out with that team. So I have a girl named Adriana. Adriana got hired, I don't know, a year ago. Her job was to absorb a business. And actually, she absorbed 5 businesses on day one. And we said, we're going to dedicate your week. We're going to allocate it by hours. And once you're overwhelmed, we'll hire another person and we'll then go buy another business. Then when you guys get overwhelmed, we'll go hire another person. And so now our C-suite has 5 people on it. And I can go buy 20 businesses, never touch them, never be involved, and just get an email on Fridays. And they say, you made $74,000 in the business and your share of that is $34,000, right? Or $37,000. That's my route that I'm taking. I told Jerry something similar. I said, go hire somebody. And then when you find a business, just have them take it over. He's like, oh man, why didn't I think of that? I'm like, because real estate investors don't like hiring people. That's why our gut thing is like, well, we're doing this all on our own. But at some point you want to have a team that's running all this stuff for you and you not be involved. And I can tell you a head of operations or an operations manager or something in that scale, right? Because it's head of operations or operations manager, head of operations, chief operations officer, right? You could probably just get an operations manager at $5,000 to $7,000 a month to start out, help you out, and then start throwing businesses at them like a plumbing company or this or that, and you never have to be involved. I'm sure you are not involved in your businesses, right?
None of them.
Chris and Carl, you guys have operations people that you're probably paying $7,000 to $12,000 a month that are just taking these over, right?
Oh yeah. I don't work in any of the 24 businesses that I own, not one of them.
But if I'm brand new and I'm afraid to hire people, I probably am going to be involved to a certain degree, because obviously the business I should be buying should already have an operations manager, should already have a somewhat, not a full C-suite at $1 million, but it's going to have some people that are operating and doing things. So I'm not in there taking out the trash, right? Like,
no,
I'm in there maybe
what you can do, which is really cool, when you're buying a business, if you want to be an owner investor, so you want to buy lots of different businesses, and you want to have a general manager run your business for you, what's really cool is you can give them a percentage of the ownership for them running the business, right? And you can vest them in over a period of years so that you're de-risking it for yourself. And what we find with that pace is it massively changes the mindset of that person, because now they're not just an employee, they're your business partner, and they're going to crush through those walls to make you proud as your partner in this business. So, and a lot of times don't think you've got to go and pay hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for really good people to come into your business. You can pay them a lower amount of salary, give them a small percentage equity in the business, 10 or 20%, and then they're going to get profit distributions to supplement that lower salary that you're going to pay them. So that's what Chris and I do. And Abraham, I think you do that as well, right?
Yeah, I have multiple businesses I've done that with. It works really well. I mean, it makes the people work a lot harder because they feel proud. It's their business.
Yeah. Does that help, Lonza? Do you have a follow up to that?
Just what this one I'm a director.
Okay.
So what if you're in real estate?
Of course.
But if, like if somebody like me or that has a viable business, what kind of businesses would you use?
You got to repeat the question.
So the question is, for someone that already has a viable business in real estate, what other types of businesses would you go after? So, I mean, I would go after businesses that could help your current business.
Property management is one of the best of the best, Uncle Lonza. And you'll find a lot of them on websites and business brokers. Property management's awesome.
Yeah, property management's awesome, but really anything to do with construction, whether it's roofing, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, landscaping, it doesn't matter, because all that stuff is going to help you in your current business. And I think the part of the other question you had was, should I get into another business? If I have a viable real estate business, should I even get into other businesses? I think was part of the question. And what I would say is, well, how far do you want to get? Are you comfortable with where you're at, or do you want to get further? And, there's only so much you're going to get in your business right now without changing stuff. So if you feel that business is right, I think everyone should try to get into business and real estate and do both, and then kind of see like what makes sense for them, right? Some people just end up liking business way more and don't do much real estate. And some people just end up staying with real estate and like the business isn't for them. But most people that are super successful, or everyone that's billionaires or multi-millionaires, actually do both. I mean, they do business and real estate. We just did the mastermind this weekend. There was a cycle. You had like a 4-cycle thing, and Carl has that same cycle. Do you remember that slide?
Yeah.
So if you were there, I mean, basically you have business, so you have tons of cash flow, right? Businesses have way more cash flow than each real estate, but then you get the real estate, because the real estate, you're making money, you're generational wealth, and then you got the tax benefits and everything else. So you're not paying all the money you're making on your business, and then you just keep repeating it over and over. So
yeah, and the other thing I would argue, Lonza, to everybody, is that you already have a business, right? So you already are a business owner, and out of everybody I know, I mean, you've done international manufacturing, international shipping, international sales, right? Like, you're super experienced. So I think it comes back to that question of, what do you actually want? Are you happy where you're at? Do you want to scale it? And if you want to scale it, then you have to treat your real estate business like a full-fledged business and probably start hiring some people to take some things off your plate. and then start complementing it with the property management, the plumbing, some other things. I don't know that plumbing would be like the thing for you, but property management might be the thing for you, especially in San Francisco where you're at. Like, you guys could pick up a property management company pretty easily on Creative Finance and just start. I have a buddy right here on Q Property Management, takes home $1 million a month from a freaking property management company. And it's a company I know, but when I say it around town, I go, oh yeah, my buddy owns OnQ Property Management. Like, who? Like, it's a company that doesn't have brand recognition, but he's taking home $1 million a month as like a 35-year-old kid. Property management makes a lot of money. It's recurring revenue too, so it's easier for you to sell off at some point when you want to sell it off, right? You got monthly recurring revenue from these people. That might be the first place you start looking around. And as you start looking around, you start getting more questions and then asking more questions.
My advice to Lanza or anyone that owns a business is do two things. Number one, go through your income statement and figure out where you're spending all your money, and then go and buy one of those businesses. So then you can double dip on the margin. So if you have a real estate flipping business and 80% of your cost is plumbing, HVAC, electrical, roofing, go buy those local businesses, and then you're giving the money back to your other businesses. And then the second thing you should do if you own a business is figure out what else do your customers buy that you don't provide. Then go and acquire those companies and then sell that stuff to them as well.
I might as well buy a weed company because my tenants smoke a lot of weed. Should I just start delivering weed to my tenants?
There you go. What a great, that's not a bad idea. I like that.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so a lot of good comments in the side chat. We also probably have a couple more questions here locally, but here let's go to everybody here. Amit, you had a question. You have a question? Wow, damn, we got like a bunch. Stand up. Let's hear what you got. Abraham will answer. You got to repeat the question though.
Yeah, yep. I just wanted to ask you guys about sourcing deals when you first started.
Sourcing deals is one of the greatest topics because it's the most fragmented thing in the world. There's no such thing as an MLS for buying businesses, which there is for real estate.
Right.
But it's the same thing as real estate, is it not?
It's identical to real estate. So I would say that 80% of the businesses that I buy are off market. And I could tell you like the top 5 or 10 ways that we find off market businesses for sale. But there is also, it's not an MLS, but there are different sites that you can go onto that have tons of businesses for sale. The most popular one would be called bizbuysell.com, bizbuysell.com, bizbuysell.com. And you can go on there and literally you could type by county, by city, by state, by whatever type of business it is, and you'll have all these. The problem is that most of the businesses on there they're full of crap about the numbers, or they're so crap, or something's wrong with the books or whatever. But there are some good ones. So I mean, I have bought some off there. So that would be a way to start really fast. And then of course there's business brokers, but they're just like real estate brokers and agents. They're not. Most of them aren't that good. There's very few that are good. But hopefully you can find a good one. But you could at least get some businesses and you could kind of start reviewing them and practice with them and seeing if you could find one. But I would say, just like in real estate, the best deals you're going to get are going to be off market. So, there's a lot of different ways to get off market businesses. Again, it's very similar to real estate. We're going to there's different sites you can go to that have all the different businesses in different industries in different cities that you could send letters to. You can send email campaigns to. There's like LinkedIn marketing campaigns you can do. There's cold calling, there's texts, there's all kinds of things to reach out to people. And usually what I do is I do all of it together. And Chris actually has like one of the best ways to get businesses. He has like a funnel. I'll let you talk about your funnel, but like how many businesses this is like, because not many people do what Chris does and no one could do it the way Chris does it. So I'd rather him tell it to you himself, but this is like an unbelievable way to get businesses.
Yeah, I have a secret funnel that can print high motivation, high urgency, high distress seller leads on demand. So pretty much any metro area in the country. So we use Facebook ads and funnels to do that. And we find people specifically who are of retirement age, who are most likely to have what Carl calls a high MUD score, MUD, motivation, urgency, and distress. And we find that a lot of times those are the people who are the most interested in doing seller financing, or what we call an annuity deal. But yeah.
What's also really interesting is, Abraham, I think you hit the stat, 80% of deals that do close, there's about 225,000 businesses a year selling in the United States. And 80% of those are off-market deals. But if you wake up one day as a business owner and you decide, you know what, this is the year or this is the month I'm going to sell my business, you tell 4 people. You tell your CPA, you tell your attorney, you tell your wealth manager, and you tell your bank or financial company that's backing you in the business. So as a deal maker, if you're out networking with those, what we call deal intermediaries, through LinkedIn, going to chambers of commerce, going to events, like all the different ways that you can network now, both in human and online, if you're building those relationships in your particular metro area, they will send you deal flow like you will not believe. You just got to go out there. Deal making, to all intents and purposes, it's a relationship business. It's like real estate. You've got to go out there and build relationships. And, you know, the deal flow that you get from that is just incredible. It really, really is.
You know, another way that we're looking at deals right now, especially that deal that we just bought, was somebody that was defaulting on a loan. So you look at business bankruptcies, and I know that, you know, we're looking at profitable businesses, but there are profitable businesses that are like, my debt is structured incorrectly, that they need somebody to come in and restructure their debt, renegotiate with the terms that they have with maybe their lines of credit or whatever it is. And there's 1,500 businesses that file bankruptcy every 30 days, 1,500, that probably over 20% of them shouldn't be filing bankruptcy. They're making money. They just don't know how to restructure or run their books. And it sounds crazy, right? It sounds crazy when you are learning about business, when you hear that somebody's books are not being organized, but then you realize it's actually normal. And it's almost surprising. I would say it's probably more surprising when you find out somebody actually has organized and clean books. Do you guys agree with that?
I do. And you've hit the nail on the head, Pace. Most people that start a company because they're very, very good at what the company does, right? So the carpenter will start a roofing company. The plumber will start a plumbing company. But they lack the business skills in financing, operations, marketing. 80% of the companies that I look at on a weekly basis do no marketing. They rely on repeat business and word of mouth referrals. So these business owners, they're phenomenal at what they do, but they're terrible at running businesses. So those are great opportunities that you can come in with either your own skill set, or you can partner with people that can do those different things. And, you know, you can scale those businesses very, very quickly.
Yeah. What I like about the bankruptcy, or I like about some of these other things, even divorce, right? There's people that are going through divorce. These are public notices. These are public things. And that's the beautiful thing that real estate has, I think, above businesses, is that it's so easy to find pain points through public record, like divorce, probate,
pre-foreclosure,
code violations. Like, you could just go on and on and on with all this data. And that's not really an easily attainable piece of information in the business buying world yet. I think it's becoming a thing. So bankruptcy petitions are also a public thing. So when people are saying, like, who was it that asked that? Somebody asked, how do I find the bankruptcy stuff? Guys, there's this amazing thing that was invented in like the early 1900s. It was called Google. And so what you do is you go to google.com and you type in, how do I find bankruptcies on public information in your county? Your county has every county in the country has bankruptcies that are posted, and it's public notice. They say, oh, somebody's filing for bankruptcy. It doesn't even have to say that they are completed with the bankruptcy. It means they're petitioning for bankruptcy. You can call these companies and say, hey, I might be interested in buying your business that you just petitioned for bankruptcy. Do you mind if I stop by? Do you mind if I get on the phone? Can I look at your financials? What if I restructure it and just take it over, and I send you $1,000 a month for the next 12 months? So you make $12,000 on the deal, but I take over a business. The guy that I bought the plant guy from was about to file bankruptcy. 30 days after I took it over, it's netting $75,000 a month. So that should show you, right? Like, all you have to do is go in there and restructure, or better yet, have somebody you can rely on in Carl's world or Chris's world or Abraham's world, like a CPA that might be a protege student, right? How could I potentially meet some of these people, by the way?
I think there's like a bunch of different Facebook groups that
or
they're
maybe
in.
there's an event coming up in 5
Yeah, I
weeks.
think there's an event coming up. Where they can be
I mean, you guys see this alley oop. I just literally I put the ball on above the net.
Well, I thought you meant like today.
I
If you wanted
slammed
to
it down.
today.
All you had to
Yeah.
do was sneeze, and the ball would have fallen in the net.
Chris, how do people network and get together and find everyone that's in protege and wants to do deals with each other? By the way, at these events, everyone's doing deals together. Like,
Yeah.
We'll go through some examples.
Dealmaker.live is where you go. My gosh, Abraham.
Dealmaker.live.
Come on, man.
One cool thing about your story you didn't say about the plant guy.
Yeah.
So we were talking about like, looking at foreclosures or buying these people's businesses. You don't have to necessarily buy their business. You could buy half their business. Did you buy 100% of the business?
No.
Yeah, that's part of the story. That's a pretty cool story that you didn't buy the whole thing.
And he's texting me twice a week and is like, you saved my life. You saved my business. My employees are so happy. And he sends me a champagne bottle the day that our CPA says we made 75 grand this month. He's like, yes, that was 30 days ago. He was like, I'm filing for bankruptcy.
So that's just another creative thing you can do. You don't have to buy the whole business.
Right.
You could still buy it. So I have bought businesses from people and I let them stay in because there's certain reasons why people want to sell businesses. And sometimes it's just because they don't want to operate it, or sometimes because they're not good with the books.
Right.
But they like the business or they like the customers. So there's all kinds of different things you can do to keep them involved if they want to be. Most of the time I don't, but like there's like in your instance, it's a perfect reason why.
Yeah, it worked out great. He was the face of the brand as well, right? So there's a little bit of risk on there.
Oh, yeah.
The risk is like, what if he gets abducted by an alien?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I don't have him as the face of the brand. It's no longer the plant guy.
Yep.
And so we got to deal with that. Whereas on some of the businesses you buy, and you have to make these determinations yourself, right? This is what Chris and Carl and Abraham help you guys with, is determining what business is the right fit for you. I have a team. So I go buy a company. I found it. I negotiated it. I literally was like, did we buy the business yet? Did we close on it yet? And the team goes, yep, we did. And we turned it around. We did this. We did that. And I'm like, great. I wasn't involved. And I bought 50% of the business. Cody prefers that as my partner. Whereas you, Abraham, you're buying businesses like an axe throwing company. You're buying 100% of that business because you're like, get the hell out of my way. I'm going to go blow this thing up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, most businesses, almost all the businesses I buy 100%, but there are circumstances where I do buy some with the current owner. And there are times where I actually buy it with the current manager getting some part of the business to run it, like we just talked about, because usually that helps the business. First of all, it's going to keep them there. If they're really good, you want to keep them there, and they're going to do a lot better. You're going to make more money because they're going to care more about it.
So Dealmaker.live.
Dealmaker.live, 5 weeks from today.
Get your ass a plane ticket. Come out here, hang out with us.
Yeah.
How many days is it?
It is 3 days. It is Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Now we always do some like dangerous stuff at your guys' events. What are we doing here?
We're gonna
go jumping on a cactus.
No, we have a few. I saw the cactuses. They're all like being held up now. What's going on? Your cactuses got like kind of weak.
We had what?
I mean,
don't
I thought
ever
you had
say that
strong-
about my cactus. It's not limp. We don't have limp things here.
I don't know. I was driving around today. And I was like, all the damn cactuses. I never saw that before.
Yeah, we had a big storm and it knocked over like 200-year saguaro cactuses, which is a really big deal. Yeah. Do you have a key man policy on the plant guy? Yes, we do.
We're doing whitewater rafting. Whitewater rafting on Monday.
Where?
I don't know. Nitin said he found a place. Is it not around here?
Are we taking an airplane to
I
Canada?
thought there was something here. I don't know. That's what he told me. I'll figure it out tomorrow.
We do have whitewater rafting, but it's up north by the Grand Canyon. So I'm interested to see how that goes.
I didn't think it was that far, but yeah, we'll figure it out. It's something like that.
But you know what? Maybe I'm too busy working. I don't even know what the hell's going on in my own state.
We'll figure it out. Then it's gonna be something else. But that's what he told me that he had plans. So we'll see.
Okay, Dealmaker.live. We'll see everybody there in 5 weeks.
Yep.
It will be a couple of weeks before my wife has a new baby, which will be really, really great. What do you guys think about the name Phoenix?
Love it.
Yeah, you guys like that? Sunday likes it.
How'd you get that? How'd you get that name?
I don't know. I was gonna name him Atlanta, but that's a little too. It's a little humid for me. So
all right.
And then also somebody was like, "Why don't you name him Montana Morby?" Which is my nickname when I'm wearing my cowboy hat. I was like, "That's actually a really good name for a boy." But people from Montana,
cool name.
Really, bro? Really?
I like the name Chris.
Chris, that's a good name.
Yeah, it's a good name.
How about I name him Dealmaker?
Love it. Would you do like Maker the middle name, or would be the first name all with no spaces? Dealmaker?
That's a good question. We'll let him. Let him do that. Whatever he decides, we'll affirm it. No problem.
Can I tell you a story about namesakes?
Yes, please.
So I have this rule in my circle of friends. If you name your kid Chris Moore, I take care of everything. College, first car, fully paid for. Right?
This is my retirement plan.
It's crazy, right? So my nephew, his name's Chris Moore, bought him his first car. He'll go to college for free, no problem.
Wow.
We've got some people in our business randomly that also have the last name Moore, and they have 2 little boys. And I've given them this bribe twice, and they failed me both times. And I'm thinking, wow. I just think that's really poor.
You imagine somebody has like 6 boys named Chris.
Oh my gosh.
Do you know what's really cool about that though, Chris? What's so cool about that is that's a big part of your why, isn't it? Because we're buying all these businesses and we're getting all these cash flow distributions every month. You've got this torrent of cash flow that you can use as an instrument of good. And that's what powers you to keep doing more deals and keep getting better at what we're doing. And you know, I've got similar passions and things that, you know, that I do. And having that really locks your mindset in.
It does.
To use deal making as a way to build generational wealth that is kind of going to help a lot of people in your inner circle. It's not just about us, it's about the people around us that get to benefit from this as well.
It is.
I got to have like 5 more kids and name them all Chris.
There you
It's
go.
a good deal.
Are you got now? You got to
enough
start.
cars. You have enough cars.
You got to have enough. You got to have more kids now, dude.
I gotta have more. I'm done. Donna can't have any more kids. She
Just go adopt 50 children, name them all Chris. Let's see if we can bankrupt Chris. He's got to buy like 20 more businesses to afford all the Chris's that we're going to bring into.
Hey, by the way, Carl, someone just asked the question on here. It says, I don't have much money or any money to put down on a business. Should I go after distressed businesses because I don't have any money?
No.
You
go after the distressed seller, probably not the distressed business. The guy that's like, I'm done. I'm going to retire. My kids don't want the business.
Yeah, a distressed business is the one that has no cash flow. Don't buy a business that has no cash flow, because then you're not going to make any money and you're just pushing water uphill and trying to turn that business around. The more cash flow the business has, the easier it is to finance, right? So you can go to a bank, you can go to an investor. You don't need any money whatsoever to do deals. It's like real estate. You don't need any money to do real estate. You can just go and partner with the right people who will deal that deal with you. Your value is finding the deal, negotiating the terms, running the team that's going to do the vetting. You know, financiers, they hate doing that kind of stuff. So you're adding a lot of value to them, and then they'll just come in with you inside of the deal. You won't own 100% of the deal if you have zero money, but you might own 50, 60, 70, 80% of it. And then the other people will come in and they'll partner with you.
Yeah, there's a question up above I want to touch on real quick. That's a very common thing. And go up above, Angie, if you don't mind. Right, keep going. Josh Cutler. Okay, so Josh Cutler asked this question. What would be your recommendation on how someone new to buying businesses structuring a deal with no money, either with a partnership or a distressed business? Okay, great. You're asking a very ambiguous question. You think it's specific, but it's actually very ambiguous, which means there's no specificity whatsoever. So I'm on Google this morning. By the way, Julie Burkhart, I bought a Montana property, and I was going to call it a ranch, but then she pointed out to me a couple of months ago, it's not a ranch unless that's 40 acres. So I can't call it a ranch. Anyway, I buy 25 acres, and I'm on Google.
Half a ranch?
Oh, yeah, half a ranch.
A mini ranch.
We should call it that. That's what it's called, half a ranch. So, or Lil Ranch.
Yeah.
So I go on Google and I go, what type of cow should I buy? Okay, and I go on a website and it has this like multiple choice thing, and it's like, well, what part of the country do you live in? I was like, what does that freaking have to matter? Of course it matters. You got weather. You got different times of the grass is growing, that there's grass available, there's not grass available. It starts asking me all these questions. I go, oh man, I feel like somebody that's starting over in business or in real estate that's like, how do I structure a deal with the seller with no money down? Who's the seller? Are they in foreclosure? How far behind are they in foreclosure? How much will it cash flow? So my friend, the question you're asking requires an actual business in order for you to get an actual question. So when people say, how do I structure a business with no money down? Well, I can tell you a story how I've done it, but I can tell you every single deal that you've structured with no money down is actually a different structure.
Yeah.
Because it was a different business, right? Do you guys agree with that, Carl and Chris?
Very
businesses are as unique as a human, right? So a human being's got a very specific type of DNA. Businesses are the same. Every business is different. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
I like Brad Dudley says that it's not a ranch, it's a ranchini.
Ranchini.
It's like a little bikini. I like that. Or Julie Burkhart says ranchette. Sorry, that's too feminine for my ranch. I got to buy the guy next door to me and bulldoze his house, and now I can call it a ranch.
But given the guy like some examples, obviously you could go get bank loans. You could go get owner financing. You could use some of the excess cash in the business to use for the down payment if they leave extra cash in the business. You could sell some of their equipment or extra inventory. You could go get a partner that, for equity. You could go get some debt from some private money. There's literally endless. Maybe you're buying it with real estate and you could get a loan on the real estate that comes with the business to use for the down payment for everything.
Yeah.
Literally goes on, or, but
a lot of these are tools that you're saying,
right? Tools.
But every single business you apply that tool to is going to be a different structure.
100%.
Right. So my suggestion to you is this: get around people. It's the same thing with everybody in here, right? The second we have started hanging out with each other and trading deals and talking about specific addresses and structures, all of a sudden it starts making sense. We got like 30 people in the studio here, and all those ambiguous questions of like, how do I structure a deal? You stop asking those. You start asking the question of, how do I structure this deal? Because I actually generated a lead that I could actually have people ask me the question about. And then you can say, well, how old is the seller? Oh, well, he's 24. Okay, I'm going to give you a different answer for a seller that's 24 versus a seller that's 72.
Yeah,
very different. So you've got to give more specifics, which means you've got to generate some leads, which means you've got to show up to the event at what location?
It's Scottsdale, Arizona in 5 weeks at Dealmaker.live. And
Wow.
we go through everything.
Kobe and Shaq. I finally alley-ooped it to him. He just dunked it. Give it up for Abraham, guys. Okay, Dealmaker.live in Scottsdale, Arizona, my backyard. We are apparently going whitewater rafting.
That's what I was told, but now you got me questioning it, so I'm gonna figure it out tomorrow.
The last time we did something really epic was
in Tampa.
What did we do?
They hacked a skyscraper in Newark, I think.
No, I think you guys went skydiving in Tampa.
We went skydiving
in Tampa. So in New Jersey, we went to New York City and we were gonna climb a skyscraper from the outside, the tallest skyscraper, but it was lightning that whole damn week and we couldn't do it. But yeah, I was looking forward to that. And we all missed our flights. They all got canceled for 4. You flew out like right before they started canceling all the flights.
Well, I have this app. I have this app on my phone that shows me weather patterns. And I was like, there's a storm coming. I changed my flight. I jumped on a flight. I'm in the air. And all of a sudden I get notifications. People are like, everybody's going to.
That was the smartest thing you ever did.
I was like, yes.
I had to freaking, rent a basically a big van and drive a whole bunch of people back to Atlanta. They had to drive to Florida, which is way
You guys drove to Florida from Jersey?
We drove to Florida. It was the greatest 24 hours of my life.
We had board meetings at 8 a.m.
dude.
We had so much fun.
It was cool, but it was long.
Okay, so I got one more podcast I got to do with Leslie right after this. We're going to do a 20-30 minute YouTube video after this, talking about how he bought was it a condo or an apartment, Leslie? There's a townhouse for $100.
Oh yeah, I just saw that story.
Okay, it's gonna be good. We're gonna talk about that. Abraham, you want to stick with me on that?
Oh, definitely. Do you recommend buying a franchise-based business? So answer really fast because someone put it up here. But basically, what I would say is, I very rarely buy franchise businesses for a lot of reasons. However, there are different types of businesses for different people. I would say if you're a visionary, 100% never buy a franchise. Franchises are horrible.
You're gonna feel like you're locked in a box.
You're gonna feel like you're locked in a box. Now, if you are a like Cody, right, or someone that's an integrator, a franchise could be the right thing for you because
you love the box.
Yeah, everything's already done for you. Now
you wear the box like a blanket or like a suit,
but you can't grow it as much. So I would say 90% of people that we teach how to buy businesses don't like franchises and don't buy franchises. But franchise does have a place in in some people's buy boxes.
Franchising is how I got into real estate. If it wasn't for a franchise, home investor franchise, I would have continued to say, how do I start?
Yeah.
Right. So franchises work. Within 6 months, I was fighting with corporate I was like, oh my gosh, you guys are the worst. But again, I was making a lot of money, so it worked. I ended up selling that and getting out. You own a franchise. We can't talk about it, but you own a franchise. You're like, I don't want to be involved in that franchise. So you have somebody else run that franchise for you, and it works out great.
Works out great. I want to buy another franchise. It's very similar competitor.
Yeah. That's going to be great. Yeah, that is going to be great.
Can't talk about it yet.
I'm an LP. I'll invest in other people's franchises. Like Everbowl is a franchise that Dan Fleischman and Jeff Fenster own. And I just bought 32 locations with a group of 5 other people. And I like that because there's brand recognition wherever you go. Versus owning a restaurant that's like a mom and pop Mexican restaurant. It's like, dude, the only people that know that restaurant are the people that live local.
Yeah.
And by the way, don't buy. Do we all agree we're on the same page here? I think I learned this from Carl. Don't buy restaurants.
Correct.
It's one of the toughest businesses.
Tough margins.
And if you want to know the answer why, go to
Dealmaker.
Go to dealmaker.live, and we'll see you in 5 weeks in Scottsdale. And we're probably going to go. Well, are we going to go whitewater rafting? We'll find out. You got to come and you'll find out.
If it was me, I'm going to tell you right now, if it was me, I would do hot air balloons.
All right. So we might do hot air balloons.
Hot air balloons is one of the coolest things ever, and the weather will be so
Can you bungee jump off a hot air balloon?
Bro,
I want to do both at the same time.
We'll bring plenty of diapers, guys. You'll be shitting your pants everywhere.
We might do hot air balloons with bungee jumping connected to it.
Oh my word, this guy! I feel like the chemicals in your body don't actually produce anxiety.
I mean, you only live once.
But I want to live long once. Hey, Carl and Chris, we really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you in Scottsdale, Arizona in 5 weeks. Go to dealmaker.live. In order to do deal making live.
Yep. How many deals have we all done with people that have come to previous events? That's the craziest thing. I have so many partners. Some of them
you guys have done way more than me. I just kind of started hanging out with you guys at these events, but I've done 3. So
the last 10 deals I've closed were with people I met at these events. Like, no joke.
Because people ask you all the time, how can I do deals with you, Carl? How can I do deals with you, Chris? This is probably the way.
Hey, did you close on that landscape business?
Yeah, we're still under. We're not yet. The tree cutting.
That I'm so excited for you on that business.
We're close. The financing, we have to do something different. So we're getting SBA loans, so it takes longer.
Are you going to change the company name to Trim Your Bush? No,
maybe.
No,
we might.
No, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
bad joke.
No, I think who's going to forget that name?
I think it's We Trim Bush. That's what it's called.
That's a great name.
Okay, Angie, take us out. Hey, Chris and Carl, thank you guys so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
We'll see you in 5 weeks.
Yep. See you in a couple weeks.